Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's episode of Trending. As always, brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. If you head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code TRENDING, you get 10% off. Now, last week, I said after the shooting in Washington of two young Israeli embassy workers that they would make Free Palestine the new Allah Akbar, right? Well, they did, obviously, because they're so amazingly predictable, but they went one further. Benjamin Netanyahu has said now that Free Palestine is the new Heil Hitler. Do you know what I mean? Is anything real anymore? And what makes that even more insane is that several people within the mainstream and the alternative media, if you can call it alternative, are now repeating that mantra. So to say Free Palestine, which I've said multiple times throughout my life, is now Heil Hitler. Well, I didn't realise I was saying Heil Hitler. Now I feel bad. It's insane, isn't it? So you've got one guy who commits a horrendous act in America, killing a young couple, I think, actually, who were engaged to be married, Israel embassy workers. That's a horrendous thing to do. But you can't just isolate it and say, look what this horrendous person did. It's no. He shouted Free Palestine at the end. Yeah, when he was being filmed. Yeah, he did, yeah. So that means everyone that believes that the Palestinian people should be free to live their lives without being bombed or starved to death is suddenly aligned with this psychopath. And that's what they do. Well, okay, in which case then, I'm going to say that everyone that supports Israel is aligned with genocide then. You see how ridiculous that is? Or everyone that's ever gone on holiday to Israel is aligned with genocide. Oh, okay then, fine, yeah. Like I say, see how ridiculous that is. But it was so inevitable. It was always going to happen because they can't miss out on a tragedy. The establishment in all different countries, because they all do it. It's not just Israel that does it. They all do it. They will identify a tragedy, and we'll come to one later in the show that's happened in Liverpool, which I'm sure people jump on, obviously. In fact, they already are. But you can't just go, look at that horrendous thing that's happened. That's awful, isn't it? Let's feel sympathy for the victims and those around the victims, the family of the victims, and let's feel anger and disgust at the person and the actions that they've committed. No. What a waste that would be. Think how we can exploit it. Think how we can use that tragedy and those victims to create something that we want in terms of public opinion and perception of a particular group that we want to marginalize. Yes, let's do that. And breathe. It's only Tuesday. Right, this is a story, this is an opinion piece actually from Haaretz, which is an Israeli newspaper. And the opinion piece is actually written by, if I'm saying this right, Ehut Olmert, who is a former prime minister of Israel. This is the headline: "Enough is enough. Israel is committing war crimes." Sounds anti-Semitic. "The government of Israel is currently waging a war without purpose, without goals." Oh, it has a goal, mate. Don't you worry about that. "Or clear planning, and with no chances of success." Well, it depends what the goal is, mate. "Never since its establishment has the state of Israel waged such a war. The criminal gang, headed by Benjamin Netanyahu," well, that is true, "has set a precedent without equal in Israel's history in this area too." Okay, so what he's saying here in terms of war crimes is exactly what the ICC is saying, because the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu and Gallant, his former defense minister, which is nonsense, of course, because they never actually go through with anything. Oh, we're going to put out an arrest warrant. Are you going to arrest him? No, he's going to fly around to different countries and he's going to go to America and stand there and tell them to go to war with Iran, and no one's going to do anything about it. Well, it's pointless then, isn't it? Western leaders, though, have refused to say that it's war crimes. They refuse to call it a genocide because they're all too nearly swore then, flaming petrified to cross the end of level boss. But a former Israeli prime minister has said it. He has admitted it. Now, what he's saying in the fact that it has no goal, this particular way of waging war has no goal. That's not true. Of course they do. The goal is to take Gaza for itself and to eventually take the West Bank for itself and to eventually take Lebanon for itself and a large part of Syria for itself and Jordan for itself and Egypt up to the Nile for itself and Iraq up to the Euphrates for itself. That's the goal. For anyone with eyes to see, the Greater Israel Project is the goal, which is why they're massacring Palestinians and they're starving the rest to death. They're trying to drive them out, get rid of them, give them no chance of ever returning. It's just another Nakba. What I find interesting, though, now the media has eventually today covered this because he said these words 4 days ago. Haaretz published this opinion piece 4 days ago. The Western media said nothing. Eventually today, they have actually started commenting on his piece and his words, which I find, okay, well, good. You're doing your job for once. Because it's quite big, I think, to have a former prime minister come out and say these words. The fact that you've got so many now Israeli protesters outside Netanyahu's house, all holding placards saying, stop the genocide. What? He used the G word? Yeah, he did. Yeah. Stop the genocide. That's not being mentioned by the mainstream media because they're all so petrified. They're petrified of using the word genocide. And part of the reason why, I think, is because we, not me personally, but us as a nation and Europe and America and Canada and everywhere else, we're complicit in it. Because we're providing the military intelligence in terms of the United Kingdom, sending intelligence aircraft from our bases in Cyprus across Gaza on a daily basis to provide that then to the Israeli military so they can go and bomb children's limbs to pieces. You've got Donald Trump coming out and saying, this needs to stop. And everyone going, oh, God, Donald Trump's fallen out with Netanyahu. Yeah, it's all theatre, mate. He sent billions of arms 2.5 months ago. What did he think that Israel was going to do with those arms? Put them on the mantelpiece as an ornament? No, they were obviously going to drop them on Gaza. What I find bizarre as well, though, is the complicity not of the mainstream media. The mainstream media have always been complicit in everything that's wrong with the world. But the alternative media was there and was created not that long ago, actually, to counterbalance that. So you had the mainstream media pushing their mainstream establishment cult narratives, and people got sick of it. People started to see what was really going on in the world, and they weren't happy about it, and so they wanted another source of news. So that's where the alternative media came along, to actually hold not just the government and the establishment and the military-industrial complex, but to hold the mainstream media to account. Now, large parts, in fact, I would say the overwhelming majority of, certainly the more established alternative media outlets, they're now aligned with the mainstream media. They're one and the same thing now. The alternative media is now the mainstream media in a t-shirt rather than a suit and tie. And so when it comes to Israel, when it comes to Netanyahu's comments about Free Palestine being the new Heil Hitler, they all jumped on it. They all agree with it. It's pathetic, actually. And I find particularly people that I would have been aligned with and walked alongside in COVID protests just a couple of 3 years ago are now justifying the genocide of children. I find it abhorrent, actually. It actually makes me feel a little bit sick. And you know who you are, by the way. You know exactly who you are. And there's a lot of you, unfortunately. And I'm kind of struggling to come to terms with it. And I've been struggling to come to terms with it since October 7th, actually. The fact that you can care so much about children that you will take to the streets to protest against the jabbing of children with COVID jabs. And in fact, some of you would stand outside vaccine centres, would stand outside schools with placards protesting. Yet you're absolutely fine with children being blown to pieces and starved to death. Either you care about kids or you don't. So what is it about these children that means you don't care about them? What makes it go from all lives matter to some lives matter? I mean, only you can answer that. Okay, the next story was breaking yesterday evening. Horrendous, actually. This is from Reuters. Car ploughs into fans at Liverpool parade. It's Liverpool Football Club parade. 27 in hospital. Now, here is a video taken on a mobile phone of the incident, and I will, let you know before we play it. It is pretty shocking. So feel free to look away.
Oh my God! What the fuck? Oh no! What the? Oh my God! Allah! Oh my God! Oh my God! What the fuck? Fucking kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Fucking kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!
Horrendous. A car ploughed into a crowd of Liverpool fans during a parade celebrating their side's Premier League soccer title on Monday, hospitalising 27 people with 2 seriously injured. But police say they do not believe the incident was terrorism related. Police said they've arrested a 53-year-old white British man from the Liverpool area whom they believe to be the driver of the vehicle, which struck a large group of supporters while they were celebrating in the city. Obviously, you've seen the footage. It's horrendous. It's another example of there just being no joy left. You can't enjoy anything anymore. You've got to be frightened of everything, particularly as a parent. One of the 2 very seriously injured is a child. Hoping for the best for everyone involved, and hope that we don't end up with a fatality, which we possibly could, because 4 of those 27 were actually dragged out from underneath the vehicle. I mean, I struggle, ladies and gentlemen, to get my head around the world we live in at the moment. I do. And I know I'm not meant to be like that. I'm meant to be positive. That's my point, was to sit down in front of a microphone, in front of a camera, and be positive and put a positive spin on stuff. But it's very difficult, actually, at the moment, to do that. Now, obviously, it didn't take long for the ghouls to come out online, on both sides, by the way, because anytime anything like this happens, you've got one side that is going, is he a Muslim? Is he a Muslim? Quick, enlarge the image. Has he got a beard? And the other side is going, is he white? Is he white? Quick, enlarge the image. Is he white? Yeah, he's white. And he's bald. Yeah, I thought it would be. That's not normal behaviour on either side when something like this happens. But I have to say that sort of mentality has been created on our behalf, largely by the media, by either lying or lying by omission whenever anything like this happens. So you look at Southport, where they refuse to say what had happened. So then people then start creating their own version of what happened. And actually, 9 times out of 10, people's version of what happened has more truth to it than what the media would have us know. And so when they do that, then that means when another incident happens, people react in the same way. And it's not right. It's not right at all. For me, the first port should be, is everyone okay? Whereas a lot of people's first reaction is, what colour is the driver? Now, the media released the fact that obviously the driver was a white guy, a 53-year-old white guy. I imagine part of the reason they did that the police did it, of course, was to actually try and stop what happened in Southport. Because, despite me not being a huge fan of the police or of the media or of the government or of anyone, there are good people that work within the police service. There's good people that work within everything, and bad people. And so some good people, I imagine, within it would have gone, we need to let people know who the driver was, because if people start to speculate, as they have done, then we're going to end up with another Southport, another riot on our hands. So they've released the fact that the driver was a 53-year-old white guy. Well, then that's not good enough either. So then suddenly you've now got those people that were originally speculating about being a Muslim, are now going, well, why would they tell us now? They're only telling us because he's white. And, well, yes, you're correct. They are. But that's a good thing, isn't it? That we're being told. And that's the thing. That's what the media's job should be. Just tell us what happened. I don't need your spin on it. I don't need, oh, yeah, no, but that's a leftist paper, that one. Oh, no, that's a right-wing paper, that one. I don't care what wing you are. Just tell me what happened. Tell me as many facts as you can about the incident, if it's in the public interest, which obviously with this it absolutely is, and let me decide how I feel about that. I'm a grown-up. I'm an adult. I can decide how I feel about a certain incident. You just need to tell me the facts. But the media don't do that. So you'll have it reported in one way in one rag. You'll have it reported another way in another rag with a different spin on it. Don't need your spin, mate. I don't need your spin. I just need you to tell me what happened. And this is the problem with 24-hour news, is they've got to fill it. Got to fill the column inches. Go and interview someone. Did they see the incident? No. We'll go and interview them anyway. Tell them ask how they feel about it. Ask them to speculate about what they think happened. And that's what they've done. They've been interviewing people in properties around the area that didn't even see it. I'm not being rude, mate. I don't care. I don't care about the views of someone that didn't see it. It's not relevant. It's not important. They know as much as I do. And I live 150 miles away. But you've got to fill. And you have these social media commentators, what do you do? I'm a political commentator. What's that even mean? And they have to fill they can't not say anything. So when I saw it, I was like, that's horrendous. I didn't tweet about it. I don't know enough about it. I'm talking about it now in a reaction to a news story and to other people's reactions to it. But in terms of what happened, I don't know what happened. But people have to jump. They have to commentate. I have to commentate. I'm a social commentator. I'm a political commentator. If I don't commentate, I don't exist. I don't get my money from X. So I've got to say something. This is what I think happened. What's that based on? Nothing. Oh, okay, cool. Well, cheers for that, mate. Moving on. Food prices increase. Of course they do. Oh, mate. Oh, that's all right. I need to go on a diet. Food prices increase for fourth month in a row as customers warned of more difficult times ahead. Can't enjoy anything. No joy left, is there, in anything? Can't celebrate winning a Premier League title. Someone drives a car into the crowd. Nothing is fun anymore, is it? Just be frightened and hungry. It comes after UK inflation surged to its highest level for more than a year at 3.5% last month after households were hit by a raft of awful April bill increases. Yeah, who carried them out? The government. Food prices are now 2.8% higher than a year ago, up from April's 2.6%. Brilliant. Fresh food prices are rising particularly quickly. Oh, that's all right then. We'll get down to Iceland then and buy some frozen crap for your kids. Don't want fresh food, do we? 2.4% higher than May from April's 1.8%. Fresh foods were the main driver, and red meat eaters. Oh, you can't be eating red meat, remember? Synthetic red meat's all right, though, isn't it, Bill? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, don't worry about that. Fresh foods were the main driver, and red meat eaters may have noticed their steak got a little more expensive. It was already expensive as wholesale beef prices increased, with retailers now absorbing, here we go, the additional £5 billion in costs from April's increased employer national insurance contributions. It's no surprise that inflation is rearing its head once again. Of course it is. Later this year, retailers face another $2 billion in costs from the new packaging tax. Is there anything you can't tax? What about this coffee cup? Is that taxable? Yeah, do you want... I'll tell you what, take the handle. Have... Oh, I burn my hand. That don't matter. I don't mind. Can you tax that sip? Yeah. The government is intentionally attacking the people. It's destroying the people. And it's doing it on purpose because you don't... It doesn't take Einstein, right, to know that if I start charging companies more money, they're not going to absorb that. They're going to pass that on to the customer, obviously. And that's exactly what's happened. It's the same with energy caps. I'm going to lift the energy cap, which means that the energy companies, which already make billions in profit, can charge the customer more. But I don't think that they'll put the prices up if I allow them to. Do you not? Oh yeah, and we'll raise council tax at the same time, so we can chuck that over to Ukraine, and we can give it to Ed Miliband, the witless wonder, so he can chuck it into, I don't know, a solar farm. Yeah. And I'll tell you what we'll do as well. We won't bother allowing drilling for gas and for oil in the North Sea, British gas and oil. We won't allow that. Will you not? No. I'll tell you what we'll do. It's better for the environment if we buy gas and oil from Norway. It's much better. It's much better than actually creating our own. We'll buy it from Norway because it doesn't affect the world if we buy it. So, are they not then drilling for more? Yeah, but it doesn't affect anything because tax and that we offset it with carbon tax and things. So money stops it affecting the environment. Can you explain to me how that works? No, of course I can't. It just does. It's just one of those things. It just happens. I don't know how it happens. It just happens. What we're doing is we're gonna increase obviously all your council tax and stuff like that, and we're also gonna put huge taxes on the energy companies that they can pass on to the customer. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna spend billions and billions and billions on solar farms, destroying our ability to grow the food that you now can't afford. And then we're also gonna spend 50 million quid dimming the sun so it doesn't actually get the sunlight to the solar farms that we've spent billions on. And conspiracy theorists think that we're bringing the country to its knees. I know, it's mad, isn't it? Talking of mad, UK officials probe Russian links to arson attacks on Keir Starmer's property, right? Well, okay, so a couple of weeks ago, some properties that belong to Keir Starmer, and I think a car he used to own, which is weird, as if the Russians don't have the intelligence to hack into the DVLA to know that he sold it. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, the insulting of our intelligence is legendary. Security officials are investigating whether Russia was behind the... I think Russia was behind this mug as well. If it ain't Russia, it's Iran. And if it ain't Iran, it's the far right. Security officials are investigating whether Russia was behind arson attacks on homes linked to Keir Starmer, according to reports. 2 Ukrainians and a Romanian man have been charged. Explain this to me like I'm 5, right? We've arrested 2 Ukrainians and a Romanian. Who do you think it was? Russia. Yeah, it was Russia. Oh, I nearly swore again. Honestly, it's mad. 2 Ukrainians and a Romanian man have been charged over the fire at 2 properties, including the Prime Minister's home in North London before he moved to Downing Street, and a car he sold last year. Like I say, Russia. We're supposed to be terrified of Russia, right? Because it's a big, all-powerful nuclear, powerhouse. Yet they can't hack into the DVLA to know that Keir Starmer doesn't own the car anymore. All I will say as a comment on this, right, is perfectly encapsulated in this tweet by Craig Murray, who's a journalist. The complete lack of curiosity by the UK media as to why a trio of Eastern European male models, at least one of whom was an escort, just burnt several properties belonging to Keir Starmer is extraordinary. This is not normal. No, it's not normal. It's not normal. The silence about the fact that it's 3 male models, one of which was an escort. I'd be asking questions if I was in the media as to why that is. I mean, I don't care what Keir Starmer gets up to in his private life. Couldn't care less. None of my business, mate. Whatever. I care about what you do in your public life because it affects all of us. But what you get up to, what goes on in your bedroom, mate, as long as it's consenting and legal age and whatever, do what you want, mate. I couldn't care less. I've got much more important things to worry about than where Keir Starmer's sticking his pecker. Doesn't bother me. What I find bizarre, though, is that the media has no interest in it when it comes to the fact that they're burning his properties. And then they're using it, again, to try and manufacture consent for a war with Russia. That I'm interested in, because that's ridiculous. everything's a bit rubbish, isn't it, really? I've sat here for the last 25 minutes or however long I've sat here talking about lots of rubbish that's happening to all of us and how it's affecting us negatively. But it could always be worse, ladies and gentlemen. You could always be Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron was groomed as a child, which, again, the media doesn't seem to want to talk about this. His wife was in her 40s as a teacher and he was 15 as a student when they first started getting together. That's child grooming. No one wants to talk about it. So his wife, if it is a wife, I ain't convinced, travels around the world, shaking hands with Keir Starmer and other world leaders and and all that stuff. They groomed a kid. No one cares about it. No one talks about it. That's not normal either, is it? That the first lady, like I say, I'm not convinced, the first lady of France has groomed the Prime Minister. The world's mad. But it could be worse. You could be getting slapped in the face by said groomer. Right? So look at this footage. I'll leave you with this footage. Thank you for watching. Head over to shop.iconic.com. Use the code training, get 10% off everything. Not just Iconic coffee, but everything. But I'll leave you with this video, right? Now, Bridget, we'll go with Bridget. This is pretty weird. So they obviously don't realise that they're on camera. So Macron is you know, he walks away. I'm not sure where they are, but he's walked away. I'm not sure if he's getting on a train or a plane or something. But he's walked away and the cameras carry on rolling. And you see Bridget's hand come and give his face a shove, which is just, it's not a great relationship, is it? If my wife or my husband was shoving me in the face, you know, that's not a great look, is it? It's Macron's face when and I shouldn't laugh because it's assault, but it's his face when he realises he's on camera. So I'll leave you with that, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.